How's it going, guys? Preston or Citizen Response. Today we're going to talk about why it actually may not be a good idea for you to put a red dot on your carry pistol. Over the last few years, we've seen an exponential increase in the amount of people running red dots on their handguns, myself included. I, as everybody else probably did, started off on iron sights, but once I put in the time and the effort to get spun up on the red dot, the dividends have paid back exponentially. That said, I think there is a large majority of people that actually will not benefit with a red dot. And some of the reasons for that is if you take a new shooter who doesn't have tons of experience on either platform and you have them start from any position other than having the gun perfectly level with the dot on target, maybe throw in a little movement in there, have them start from a compressed ready, a low ready, whatever, you're going to see their times and their hits are going to be significantly better on the gun with iron sights. The reason for this is you can use your peripheral vision, even if you are target focused, which you should be, to be able to align the front sight with the rear sight. You can't get away with that with a red dot. Yes, there is a technique that people teach to find your iron sights and then find your dot. I think that's the wrong answer, but that's a different video for a different time. So barring that technique, even if you were to do that, the irons are always going to be faster until you put in the time with the red dot. A lot of people simply aren't going to want to put in the time. They're not going to want to dry fire multiple times a week. They're not going to want to go to the range multiple times a month to stay spun up with a red dot because that's what it takes. I think the initial investment is pretty heavy. I'd put a lot of hours of dry fire, being able to present my dot and have it be in my vision every single time. I'm not hunting for the dot. It's just automatically there every single time. Under pressure, doesn't matter. That's kind of what we're going for. But if you're the type of person, you just want to buy a gun, you want to carry it, but you're not willing to put in the hours of dry fire or spend the hundreds of dollars on ammo you're going to need to get spun up to the red dot, iron sights might be for you. And irons aren't as bad as some people make them out to be here in the 21st century. Yes, I 100% prefer optics, and I will choose an optic every day over not having one. But that said, with these Ameriglow iron sights, there's plenty of other brands that make great ones. This has a bright orange front sight post, and this has a completely blacked out rear. So when you're in, pretty close distances within 7 yards, this acts very similarly to the red dot in the way that it catches your eye, but it gives you the benefit of not having to hunt for your sighting system if your presentation is off by just a little bit. Another thing people don't necessarily know about irons is your sight presentation does not have to be perfect within, let's say, 7 to 10 yards, and of course closer to be able to get an adequate A-zone hit. Let's say you're using an IDPA 8-inch circle as your example. Your front sight can be over the blacked out rear, to the right, to the left, or even down, and this is something you should go train and go see for yourself with your gun. Far enough away, you start backing up, eventually you're going to start missing that A-zone, but within 7 yards, you can move that front sight within your back sight picture and still get an adequate hit, which is very, very fast in practice. And so if you don't have the perfect sight picture, you're still going to be able to get an adequate defensive hit. So we talked about the first kind of person is the primary person that's buying the gun for themselves, but they don't really necessarily maybe not have the time, don't want to put in the effort to get spun up on using a red dot. Maybe that's not their thing. Cool, whatever. Not judging. The second kind of person that I'm really thinking about when I'm making this video is, let's say this gun is for somebody else other than yourself. Example could be a spouse, somebody who's not necessarily going to train as often or dry fire as often, but you still want them to be able to protect themselves in the case that they need to. Yes, the obvious answer is you should be dry firing, you should be doing live fire multiple times a month if you can. However, that's not realistic for everybody, and not everybody has the same drive and the same goals. That shouldn't bar them from having training that is optimized towards them and having products that are optimized towards them. So for example, this is my wife's gun. This is a great gun for her because she's going to put in the hours and hours of dry fire to be able to shoot a red dot well? No, but that doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to protect herself. So she can really easily pick up this Ameriglow, front bright orange sight, and she's actually a pretty freaking good shooter. She got hits at 50 yards just last week with her little SIG P238 with just iron sights. So you can actually still do a lot of work with these things. Are they as good as a red dot? Definitely not, but just some things to consider instead of just necessarily going on the internet or chastising everyone who isn't running a red dot on their carry gun. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. If you disagree with me or you have something else to share, you can drop it in the comments down below. As always, at the end of my videos, I like to give an offer. I was raised in a Christian home, but I was not a Christian for most of my life. I didn't come to faith until college. That came through some heartache, some loss, and some real soul searching. And so if you are interested in a chronological Bible that it's much easier to read, it's reorganized in a narrative format, it's actually fun to read, I'll send you one totally free of charge. I've sent out a bunch of them at this point, and I will continue to do so for as many people that want one as possible. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. Get out there, train hard, stay safe.